Welcome to another Plan 6 parts video. Welcome to the next part of tr6 gearbox rebuild. Alright, so what we're going to do in this one. We've already done the lay shaft, that's already been done, and we've checked the end plane, that's all good. I did button it up, and we will have to unbolt that lay shaft and actually let the gear fall to actually get the rest in. However, like anything, what I've done was I wanted to make sure everything was good. I bolted up, make sure everything spins. I wanted to be happy, so because I didn't want any surprises later on after the main shaft goes in. So we will have to drop that one. But for now, we'll leave it until it's to cross that bridge and we're going to put this in. So for now, we're going to continue on. What we're going to do is we're going to build up the rest of the shaft. So we're going to put the rest of the stuff on. We're going to come to here and we're going to put the clip on and we're going to check the end flow. Again, similar to the front, the end flow should be between 3 and 9/10 of an inch play. All right, so what goes on next? So what we're going to throw in, what comes next is a synchro. And then comes our gear selector for first and second. So obviously the selector section goes towards the front, and the inside, if you've taken it off, it's the same either way. This is the one that's equal, so it doesn't make a difference which way it goes. You can put it on that way. So synchro, and then obviously another synchro on the back end. All right, so now these are on. I can slide this on. Just turn the second gear and make sure it all slides up nice and hunky-dory. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to put a spacer in here. So it's going to be a small spacer. And the reason why is, I grabbed the wrong one, is you don't want the big spacer in here because what you're going to do is you're going to end up pushing your first gear further down, which means the selector has to travel further. The further it has to travel, the more likely it is that it's going to miss the gear, skip the gear, chunk the gear, and then just break your gearbox. So this one should be a small one. If you have taken the spacer over there and you're putting it back on, by all means, that's fine. But in case you ever get them mixed up, it is a small one that goes in there. I've got mine all mixed up, so. This goes on. Oh, sorry. So before this goes on, here's an important part. Let's talk about the bushing. So here's the bushing that came out with this gearing. Right, it's the original brass bushing. As you can see, there's a larger end and a smaller end. Now, what I done was I had a look at it and something didn't seem right because I'd put some paint on it. I wanted to make sure it actually lined up with the hole. Here's your oil port. And if you can see, this didn't make sense. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in and have gloves on, so it doesn't really want to play games with me. We want to do it. If you can see, this gearing, if you can see the ring, you can see the ring there. You can see it lined up with the porthole. So I know the channel was lined up with the port. That's fine. However, when I actually made sure to test it, it didn't. It actually didn't line up at all. And that's why I put the marker on the crosshatch here, because it was this. So this was offset. And it's only when the gear spun and passed over the crosshatch did it allow oil to go in, which that's not right. So I took up another one, and I took this one, and I've done the same thing. I marked it, and I took it out with this gear. And this gear is off a different transmission that I had pulled apart. But I had the exact same bearing in it. But when I looked at it, hopefully you can see down, you can see lower, oops, I'm hitting the camera. Down here, you can see the actual oil groove. And that's the way it was in the first one, was actually offset. It wasn't actually lined up correctly. So the way I was looking at it is that the oil wasn't actually lined up right for the actual gear. What I did find is this one, which is the replacement of the modern one, which is the one that you find on the second and third gear, this one actually lines up. So again, I put some marker on it, just some drywall erase marker, and I just marked it so I can wipe it off, and I actually slid it in to see if it lined up. Now I'd like to be able to show you this, but it's hard because of the light. You can't actually see in this porthole grey. Like, you can see in it now, but as soon as you pass the thing through, you cannot see it. But I actually lined it up, and to line up with the porthole, it actually lined up here. And as you can see, if I hold it here, it's the best I can do. If I hold it pretty much over it, you can see where the porthole is. It's over the hole. When if you do the original one, it's offset. See, it actually is offset, it's below it. So this is the original. So you can use this. However, My recommendations is go with the more modern steel replacement because a few reasons. One is obviously the canals are a lot deeper. It actually lines up with the hole and it's a newer bush. So I'm going to replace these. So if you are doing it, I suggest getting new bushings. The same bushing for third, first, and then obviously second is its own little one because it should have the plate on the back, and that's its own one for second gear. So just be mindful of that when you're putting them together. Again, if you have anything else on that or any other questions or concerns or anything, throw a comment up there and see. Maybe somebody has a bit more insight in this, but I'm obviously not going to use the original bush. I'm going to go with these, and these are the ones you actually do get now, and it can be replaced, and it does. If you go to any catalogs, it does tell you this actually is a replacement part as well. So I'm going to throw this in. Obviously, like I said, the channel is going the smaller ones to the front because that's where the porthole is. So slide this up, and I'm going to put our first gear on. Alright, so make sure that it should be all flush here. That's fine. And then the next thing you do is we're going to put another washer on. So the washer that's going to go on here is a thickish one. Of course, now I have to find it. Oh, here, it's right in front of me. Actually, that's not the right one. Trying to find out where it went to now. It was here in front of me. So we have what's going to happen next is if you can see this, you can actually see it on the camera. You can see where the original bearing was. You can see the marking on it. Obviously, it's worn down. So the next one to go in here is a spacer. When the spacer goes in, then we're going to put our actual. Oh, it's sitting on top of it. No one couldn't see it. You can see it. So I'm going to put that on because obviously I want the thing to be as pretty much where it was. The roller bearing is going to go on next. Now, just for measuring, you can put it on either direction because it's coming off anyway. But just make sure when you actually do put it on fully, which it's going to go on after the shaft goes in, that again the ring is on the outside because that's going to get pressed in. So when this is in, because again, this is to make sure everything lines up correctly. Okay, this doesn't want to go on, right? It was going on. Shouldn't have to tap it in, but I think there's a bit of dirt or something on the shaft. A bit of dirt or something on the shaft. That's there we go. All right, so I have to slide everything back in the spot again. All right. So now we're all on. So what we're looking at is this space here. So we're going to put the next spacer on. So what we're looking to try to do is to make this gap pretty much as close as we can to this. Because then, as you can see, here's the washer I'm going to put on. Because then when you put your clip on, we're going to have to measure the gap between this and the clip. And that's our end float that we're going to measure. So it may be a case of trial and error. Like again, what I suggest personally is always go for a bigger one and then grind it down if you have to. Yes, it's different sizes, but instead of buying all the different sizes, I'd say grab the biggest one and just shave it down. So I'm gonna put this one on. So I've already measured this one. So this one I end up to be honest, 7 to 8, 7, pretty much 7 tau end play. So once we put that on, we put this clip on then. But I'm going to show you anyway, just to be sure. Alright. And you know when this is incorrect, because it should spin around. You should be able to... this should spin around freely, pretty easy. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand it on its head, if you want to call it that, and just move it around a bit and make sure everything actually is moving the way it should do. 1, 2, 3, all spinning. And so I let gravity basically force it all down. So once it's all down, hang on, let me drop the camera. Hang on, I have to fix the camera for you. Hopefully that's correct. That's alright. Oh, it's not the worst. Let me go down a bit further. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure the gap between here. So obviously it's between 3 and 9. So I'm going to take a 10 tau feeler gauge. 7, it's 11, 10. So I'm going to take our 10 tau. And by right, I should not be able to get this in. So I can't get that in at all. So I know it's not that one. So I'm going to come down to a 8. So once the 8 fits in, I'll be even happy. I'll be okay with that. The 8, nope. 8 is not going in. Let's go 7. We're getting edge of it in, but not enough. It's a little bit of pressure. So back down to, let's go to 6. That's 4 tau. Sorry, I'm trying to hold these in my hand and read them at the same time. 8, 7. That's 3. That's 7 tau. So I'm trying to read them. I don't know if you can see the markings on these. I'm just trying to read them all at the same time. So, sorry, no, that's 2. 1, 2, 3. Let's go 5 tau. Let's put them all back here actually, so I get them out of the way. So the 5 and the 6. You can see the rhombus on it, so it's 5 tau or the equivalent of millimeters. So, yep, the 5 goes in, no problem. The 6. Yeah, I feel a bit of resistance, so I'm going to say that's pretty much a 6 tau gap. So I'll move it around. Yeah. So 5, 6 tau, thereabouts. So that's our end flow. So that's pretty good. If you wanted to do the end flow of the individual gears, then there is a video that Ellen does where he actually shows you. You're basically measuring the bushing and the gearing itself and everything, and then you're measuring the gap that's left over. So each one has its own space, which is about 3 tau. So yes, you can do that. I'm not going to do these in the video, but yeah, you can measure them as well. So now we have everything here. The last few pieces to put on is another synchro, our first selector, which is directional this time. So there is a larger piece and a shorter piece. So the shorter piece is the one that goes in, and the larger one points towards the front. And then really that's it. After that then is the roller bearing, and then we can add the front on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off apart from, well, I'm going to leave everything on except these. So the bearing and the clip is going to come off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap some tape around it so nothing else falls off the end of it. Because when I go to put it through into the gearbox, I'm going to put it through, I just don't want it to fall apart, because it will want to fall apart. This is not easy to get off, that's for sure. There is other tools you can use to spread out. There is other ones. I like these ones. Oop. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to try to spread it and push them in here again, just to keep it out enough to... I should really use a flathead screwdriver like before, just to get behind this. So you spread it out. Oh no, that's not working. I thought it would have worked a bit easier than that. If you want to fast forward this part of the video, I suggest you do. The problem is that these are pointy, so you just slide out. If you're flat, it'd be a lot better. Ah, there we go. That's the worst thing about putting these on. Once you put them on, you don't really want to take them off again. Unfortunately, you have to check everything first. These are awkward. There we go. Well, next time I put that on, it's certainly not coming off. Alright, so I'm going to remove the bearing. And the washer's going to stay on because that's going to be on the inside as well. Now, you could technically, when it goes through, slide the washer back on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape around here. So I'm going to use something that comes off nice and easy. So a bit of masking tape. Of course, it's hard to take off when you have gloves in your hands. I'm going to put on loose enough. Again, it's only a bit of masking tape. I'll make sure to tag the end so it doesn't squish down on me again and I don't lose the end. Alright, again, it's just enough to hold it that when I lift it up. That's just going to stop them all from sliding off. So they'll come apart a bit, but as long as you don't really slide off, that's fine. We put an extra little piece in here. What doesn't help is that I did put oil on it as well. A little piece, huh? This is going to be sticking out, so I know I can reach this. Alright. So, again, just to make sure it doesn't fall off. So the next part is going to be the front, and we have to do the same for that as well. So I'm going to stand it upright. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the camera here. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to put the synchro on. Our selector. I'm going to slow down. I'll just turn it until it slots into position. And then the last synchro. Now these are a little harder to keep on, especially the synchro. The synchro, if it falls out, don't worry about it. You can actually slip it over. There is enough room, the same as the needle bearing. It's more about keeping this on, because that won't fit. There's not enough room to get that on. So, do you know what? I'll take the synchro out, because I know that's going to fall out. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to put some tape on it. Now, you don't have to use tape. You can use, well, if you want, you can use an elastic band, my favorite band. You can use cable tie, whatever you want. Makes no odds. as long as it holds the weight of it. All right, so that's all set to go in. So before we put it in, now we have to go back to our, sorry, this has fallen off a bit here, but I'm not worried about that sliding down. I'll slide it back up once it goes in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our gearbox, and we're going to drop the gear down. When I drop the gear down, I'm going to put a little cloth in there, only because when it goes in, I don't want it to actually grind the gears until it's actually fully in. So I'll get an old rag, something easy, and I'm going to actually I'm actually just going to place it over the gears. So slip it at the back, that I can just pull it out. Slip it over the gears, again, just to protect them, so when I actually go in, if I drop it on top, I'm not going, because it's metal to metal, and I don't want to crack or chip away any of the teeth. So now I have that done, I have to take the shaft back out. Again, you didn't have to do it in the first place to put it all the way in. I just wanted to do it because to make sure everything was actually fully done. It seems like an extra step, alright. So if you want to skip that step, you can. I want to make sure everything lined up properly first, like I said. It's just, I didn't want any surprises afterwards. I'm like, hey, this is not lining up, or this, that, I did, or the not knowing what the space was or anything. So let's say the end float. So that's why I actually only put the stuff on one side, not both. So we'll move the gasket. All right, so now I have to take this off again. So the Allen key. And we shall tap it out. Came out with the leaves, will be better. Comes, and then we can take the shaft out. Now, just be mindful when you take it out, the gears on the spacer will drop, so you can put something smaller in there to hold it in to make sure you don't lose them. But as long as it comes out easy enough, we should be able to basically keep your finger in and just let it drop just enough. If that makes any sense, just. A bit of pressure on this, I know. I need to tap it out a bit. I'm going to pull it out nice and slow because I want to make sure I keep the thrust washer from spinning around. I don't want it to spin. All right. So I just held the gear, and as I pull the shaft out, I just let it down nice and slow that it only can come up. What you will have to do is, as soon as the gearing goes in, you will if you start flipping it around and everything, there's a good chance you may lose it. So just be mindful when you do this. I can't tell you the best way to do it, other than just take your time when you put the stuff in, not to rattle the box now, otherwise you're going to lose the you're going to lose your thrust washer, and that'll be the one that's going to wreck it, because then it won't fit in again correctly. So that's why I let it go down slow, because I can still see them. Let me show you. So this one here is still sitting. You can see with the light, hopefully you can see it. That one's still sitting in position, that's fine, and the gears drop down. The front one has sort of come down with it a bit. You can see the bearing in there. So again, as long as I don't move it around too much, that should be fine. So the next thing to do is actually put the actual, we're going to put the shaft in, just to make sure it actually does, well, to actually get it in. So again, I'll have the rag hanging at the back. I'm going to move it to the edge of the table, because you're going to want the space to go down in order to actually get it on. I'll get it in. So hopefully you can see. Of course the oil can is right away. So it will want to catch on your reverse selector here. It will want to catch on that. So that's why just be mindful of putting it in, just to take your time. The important part is it all goes in as one. Even though there's tape there, I still want to hold it. It's a natural thing to do, is hold it. So there you go. So now it's resting on the other gears, but because of the cloth, I'm not worried about it. It's not actually sitting on it, like wrecking the gears. So in she goes. So obviously the next thing we can do is, what we want to do is we actually want to be able to put this piece in and actually line it up before we put the next one on. So in an ideal world, what we're going to do is we're going to put it on the press, and we're going to put our spacer on, our bearing on. We're going to put the actual clipping onto it, and then when we have that on, I'm going to sit it on the press, and then we're actually going to push the bearing up into it. So we're going to push the whole unit down, and that will compress it in. So let's say push the whole unit. I'm going to keep it here and then push the whole unit. We'll do that in the next video, and I'll show you. I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to have a set that it's ready to be actually pressed in. So that's it now for now, because obviously I have to go carry it across to the press and set it up, because it was set up for something different. So that's it for this part. Join me in the next part where we actually start to compress the gears together, and then really after that, then we'll bring the top one up. We'll connect it back together, and then we'll go through and make sure all the gears are fine. And then obviously we'll put the counter shaft on, and put the bearings and the oil seals and everything back on that. So again, thanks for watching. Any comments, questions, concerns, especially with the bushings, give me a shout. I'll try to help you as best I can. Again, I appreciate all the people who subscribe to the channel. If more people subscribe, it'd be great. It makes me feel good that people subscribe. And again, yeah, if you have anything about them bushings, throw a comment up there. If you have any other information, throw it in. Again, this is all about adding information and helping people out. So if there's something out there I haven't covered or said, by all means, I mean, here's the opportunity to throw it out there so we all help each other. So yeah, see you in the next part. Thanks for watching.